Hello and welcome to a new video here on my channel here at commaik. Today I will continue building my new outdoor kitchen. I just recently finished the walls, the shell construction, and I've already had preliminary discussions with the carpenters and joiners about installing the new roof. In the meantime, I will use the time to work on the electrical system, to install the network, electricity and so on here. For this, I'm using various tools and taking you along with me. If you want to know how I do all of this, then stay tuned. We're about to get started. My new outdoor kitchen will be U-shaped. On the left side, across the middle and over to the right side, the countertop will run. On the countertop, of course, I need various connections. My gas grill will go here, which I'll place here, installing my Phantom P500. The grill has, among other things, a rotisserie, meaning this rotating spit that turns, and for that I need electricity, so there's an outlet here, but also for the refrigerator, for the various electrical appliances to be able to plug in a blender or other devices, and ultimately also for the lighting, the radio, the TV and so on, I need the appropriate supply. That's what I'm going to install, or at least prepare today, so that later I only have to pull the cables. Today, my main focus will be drilling the holes for the outlets and connecting the connections with empty conduits. For mounting, for installing the outlets and so on, I rely on my trusted tools. Among other things, this core drill will be used to make the holes for the outlets. I'll install them directly into the walls, 2 or 3 of them. I won't do more than that. Otherwise it gets too imprecise. This tool has already served me well many times. Combined with my drill, the whole thing should work quite easily here in this Ytong, even without hammer mode. The cable channels I'll make with my wall chaser. I'll also place outlets up there for the network, for the radio, but of course also for the lighting, which is supposed to come over this bar counter here. So I need to create a connection somewhere and run the cables up. I don't want to surface mount the whole thing. I've invested way too much money and energy here to end up with something like that, to have a messy solution. So first, I'll start by marking the appropriate positions for the holes for the outlets. I've already done a rough sketch for myself just to know what I need and where. For example, a light switch here for the counter for the ambient lighting that I want to run under the counter here, the LED strip. I need power to supply devices somewhere around here. The fridge is supposed to go down here and it needs an outlet as well. I'll start by marking all these outlets and then drilling them. Once that's done, I can use the wall chaser to create the necessary channels to embed the empty conduits into the wall and later pull the cables through. The switches I'm placing the switches for the lighting in the center at a height of 1.10 meters. That's my standard measurement. Since here there will be a floor added which will be about 5 centimeters high, I'll set everything at 1.15 meters, of course, because I want to measure from the finished floor. The countertop is already prepared. Here I have a total height of 85 centimeters. Since on top of that there will be a substructure and then the commaik concrete slab. That means I'll get about 10 centimeters more here. Subtracting the 5 centimeters for the floor, I'm back to just under 90 centimeters. For my height, that's a very good working height. The power outlets that will be installed here in the background, I've only marked their horizontal position for now, and I'll position them so that they're easily accessible above the countertop. As a reference measurement, I'll use the height of my bar because I'm quite limited here. When adding the countertop, I still have some space here where I can install the outlets. Since I might want to add the tile in front here, the whole thing shouldn't be too low but also not too high, so it should be somewhere in the middle here. I've installed the cable ducts, the chases, as well as the holes for the outlets. Everywhere I want to install an outlet later, primarily power or network outlets, I've drilled the holes and already placed the inner parts inside. I've also laid out the empty conduits that I'll still need to run. I've already laid them out the way everything is supposed to be in the end. The curves are nicely extended so that I can easily pull the cables through later. The outlets themselves will now be punched out at the holes, so I can easily feed the cables through. For example, like here. Now, you can see I've already made the hole, and from here I'll run another empty conduit which ends up here at the top, so I can thread it through. The groove goes down far enough that I am below the countertop. The built-in cabinets will go in front and the area at the back will remain open. That means I can easily run the electrical wiring and cables on the surface at the back. Going upwards, I have 2 channels, or rather 3, running all the way through to outside the stone. Up there, I want to use a conduit to run the cables for the lighting upwards. This is all on the back right side. Here too, there's a groove that extends well beyond the stones. Parallel to that, here is also the box for the power supply, with the conduit initially laid in. And on this side as well, I have a groove that goes completely beyond the stone. Here I can then lay the cables over the roof for the lighting or whatever else I need there. For the conduits I use different sizes. I still have some leftover stock of 32mm conduit that's fairly sturdy and fits perfectly in my cable groove in terms of size. To fasten the conduit, I use my drywall screws. I still have plenty of those left over from the house renovation. I still have plenty left. These screws are simply screwed into the wall to the left and right of the cable using the cordless screwdriver, and they fix it in place at the position where it should stay. And afterwards I can fill everything in with tile adhesive. I've now finished embedding all the electrical boxes here. The chases, the cable ducts, I've already closed them up again, and now only the empty conduits are sticking out at the bottom. It looks exactly the same on the other side, and I've spent the whole day today struggling with it, pulling in the power supply cable, a 2.5 metro cable, and the speaker cable for the music. On that occasion, I had to open up my lawn at this spot because the 2 empty conduits which run under the lawn here to the connection points were damaged. Probably when I installed the control cable for the lawn robot back then, I must have gone too deep somewhere. That cost me an entire day today to pull this cable through. As you can see, I've already started to patch up or fill the large holes. Here I used tile adhesive to fill in the handholds of the stones, and I also closed up the edges and joints that were too large where corners had broken off, so that I can find the electrical boxes again later. Since the whole thing will be plastered next, I covered them with these protective caps. Are protected accordingly. These little tabs will stick out of the plaster later, and I can then precisely determine where my boxes are located. But plastering, I'll show you that in another video, because for now I'm done with the electrical work in terms of having everything prepared here. The installation of the boxes, the wiring, and so on. That will come later. If you don't want to miss it, then subscribe to my channel and activate the bell. That way you won't miss any of the new videos about my garden kitchen project build. I would be absolutely thrilled to get a comment from you under this video. Give me your opinion, share your tips and tricks. What should I maybe still do here? And of course, I would be absolutely delighted if you give this video a like if you enjoyed it. At this point, thank you very much for watching. See you next time. Ciao.